Hey guys, Jim Does It here. Just doing a review of the Winegard Air360, the 4G LTE gateway they have. So this is already installed. I did this a few days ago. However, I wanted to go through the things you needed to do to get it connected and set up. Most campers these days have the antenna on the roof already. Naturally this one did, so it was pre-wired, ready to go. Literally, technically, all you would have to do is put this right on the ceiling here, connect the wires, and you'd be good to go. However, I didn't want to do it the kind of basic, easy way. I wanted to make sure it was done correctly. So I actually ran new wires to this, to the light that's over the sink here, and actually put this switch in right here that came with it to turn it on and off. Since this camper does not have the full power, the master switch to turn the lights on and off, I had to actually put that switch in to turn this off, or it would be using power 24/7. And if your camper's in storage and you keep the battery connected, since you have solar panels to charge, I didn't want that to be on all the time, so I put that switch in just to be able to turn it off and save on the power when needed. However, it wasn't too difficult. I had to take this light out, I had to take the cover to the AC unit off, and then I took this light out, as well as inside the cabinet there's a couple panels that you had to take out. So you had a little panel here and a panel on this other side to get access to the back of the switches. There's just 4 screws holding those in. Take the screws out, the panels come off, and you can get access to all the wires. So what I did was I determined that this wire from this light, this end of the line, and then this light right here feeds this light. So all I did was disconnect this light from the wire, tied pull string onto the wire, and then pulled that wire back through so it was out here and got access to that pull string. Once I did that, I actually pulled the wires through and pulled the wire back, and then I had the new wires to this light and the new wires to this light. So now I had to get the wires from here over to this side over here. So I did the exact same thing. I found the wire that was here. It actually went up in the ceiling, luckily, and connected through this. It was actually on the other side of this AC unit and went to this light here. So it was a little more difficult getting this wire in just because of the 90-degree angle, and you didn't have access to those wires at that 90-degree angle, since it's on the other side of the cross member in the ceiling. A little tough pulling it through. It was a little tight. It was a little sketchy, but once I tugged on it a few times, it actually went right through. And then pulled those wires back through. Got the positive wire ran over to the switch, and both are connected to the light that's underneath here, onto the wiring that goes right here. It did say that you should have a dedicated circuit for this, but this is a camper. You can't just install new circuits, at least not easily. I'm sure you could somehow, but it doesn't use that much power. You shouldn't, these are LED lights, you shouldn't have too much of a powering issue. Just due to the fact that these things, they don't draw very many amps at all. So once I got this all connected, I just buttoned everything back up, just reversed everything, put the covers back on, put the lights back in, and then connected this to the little adapter it has for the power cables, and then connected the antennas to it, which there's 3 wires for that, 2 for the 4G LTE and 1 for the Wi-Fi, and then flipped the switch and it powered up. So that was relatively simple. I mean, if you just put it up the way it was and didn't have to worry about the switch, it'd probably take you 10 minutes. The hardest part would be mounting the bracket to connect it. So it wasn't difficult. Most people should be able to do this, if they're technically inclined. But yeah, it was very simple. So next I'll go over what we had to do to get this thing set up to actually work with the 4G service, and I'll go through that here in a second. Hey guys, wanted to go through the setup procedure that we had to do for connecting the Winegard Air360 gateway to 4G LTE service. So the big thing is picking your carrier. So you can actually go through Winegard and pay more, and it gives you I think it's called Freedom Go Pass, which allows you to track your usage through they call it the app. They don't have an app for Android that I found, so I may be wrong about that, but it may be only Apple, I'm not sure. But you can do it through the web browser, through the management portal that's on the gateway. That shows how much usage and everything you have. However, we chose Mint Mobile, and that was just due to the fact of the cost. And it actually has their own, they have their own app, and you can track the data usage just fine there. So going through Winegard for the service probably isn't the best option unless you want that granularity of the app and how much data and everything you use. But we've got the unlimited, not really worried about how much data we use. And naturally, I'm not going to use this 24/7. It's just probably when we're in the camper, around the campsite, we may want Wi-Fi on our phones, but you're out camping, so we're not going to be on our phones that much. We keep the kids off usually, so it's mainly for me checking my email for work, and then watching movies at night with the kids. Get some popcorn and we all cuddle in bed and watch movies together. But it's not, there's no need to buy expensive service. You don't need to go through Winegard. You don't need to buy a $50, $60 plan to do this. It's, the Mint Mobile was actually relatively inexpensive. It's $15 a month for 3 months, and I think after that you can do unlimited for $40 a month, or you can even go down to 20 gig, 10 gig for even less. So it wasn't a huge expense in my opinion. Especially for 3 months, it's $15. That's going to be the rest of the summer for the most part, and then we'll get in the October time frame, and then I'll figure out something later on that. But it was relatively easy. Mint Mobile was actually T-Mobile, so it actually detected it as T-Mobile, so I didn't have to do any special configurations. It was already there, pre-configured. It detects what kind of SIM card you have. You may, if you don't do Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, or Mint, you may have to actually enter the APN code, which is all outlined in their instructions as well for that carrier. But most of them, I think, are going to probably work out of the box, just due to the fact that those 4 carriers are pretty much the main carriers out there. So all you have to do, put the SIM card in, boot it up, wait for it to boot up, log into it, enable the Wi-Fi connection. You connect to your Wi-Fi at home or wherever you're at first, and then do some configuration changes, let it get updates, and then you actually switch it over to the 4G, and then it just works. I didn't have any problems, didn't really set having to do any other settings. There's all kinds of other things you can do, like I actually just changed the SSID, so it's my own SSID, and the password, I changed that so I didn't have to use a weird password they have, and then the name of it now is what I want it to be instead of their name. And then I just connect my TV, and I can connect my phone, and everything worked just fine. As far as kind of the range you're going to get, I've just tested it in my yard so far. I haven't actually done a campground test, but I can go at least 200 feet away and get full strength Wi-Fi coverage. I plan on going down the street and seeing how far it goes, and seeing what kind of distance I can get. It says up to 1/3 of a mile, which is going to be line of sight. So if there's trees, or campers or anything else in the way, you're probably going to have some, limitations there. But if I can go the whole campground with Wi-Fi, that's going to be awesome. And then if you need a different, carrier, you can always take your SIM card out of your cell phone and throw it in. If T-Mobile doesn't work at the location you're at and Verizon does, you can easily do that. It'll probably take you 5 or 10 minutes to set that up and get it working. But other than that, I mean, so far so good. I'm happy with the investment. It was relatively simple to do. Like I said, installing the switch was the hardest part for me. You may not have to do that, but I would recommend it so far from what I'm seeing. I know there's some other reviews out there that say it's not worth it, blah blah blah. I mean, finding the right price for the gateway is the main thing, and I found mine on Amazon. And make sure you buy from a reputable dealer, just due to the fact that there's a few sites that sell it for a lot less, and you're going to be lucky if you actually get the device, and I wouldn't trust them. At least the kind of money that you spend, I wouldn't trust a non-reputable site with that money. Amazon, pretty reputable. It actually was shipped and sold from Amazon, so it wasn't a third-party seller. It was $2.99. It was cheaper than all the other camper stores that I saw out there. So great deal, and so far I like it, and I can't wait to get on our trip here in a few weeks to Colorado to see how it performs out on the road. So I plan on actually leaving it on while we're traveling in the car. Even though my car has Wi-Fi, it uses AT&T, so I have kind of a couple options. even though my car has Wi-Fi, I'm going to leave this on and see if it works well driving down the road. And then maybe I'll post another video on that and see, during the trip, and see how things go then. But we have multiple options. I can use my hotspot. So I got Verizon, I've got AT&T in the car. Now I have Mint Mobile, which is T-Mobile. So we have multiple options. So I should hopefully have cell coverage throughout our whole trip, as long as we're in the mountains somewhere that has, adequate coverage, which I believe where we're going does. We'll be good to go. Like I said, I mainly use it for work, so I want to be able to access my email, as much as possible, just to keep up on things. And then, like I said, watch movies at night. But so far so good. Like I said, the Winegard Air360, seems to work well. There are other options, so I'm not going to go through all the different options. The one that I'm a techie guy, so I kind of came up with another option that is actually less expensive. It wasn't enough of a savings for me to do it. I was about to, then I saw it was the price of the gateway went down, $50 on Amazon, so I just changed my mind and went that route. But there is a 4G industrial router that is much smaller than this. It's about half the size. It doesn't look good. I was actually going to print a kind of little beauty cover for it on my 3D printer. It was $179 for the 4G LTE router itself, and it actually had the exact same outputs on it, or inputs, whatever you want to call it, the Wi-Fi antenna connection and then the 2 cellular connections, and then it could do 12 volts and 48 volts and kind of whatever voltage you want. So it was an industrial router, and it would have just probably worked just as well. However, like I said, it was $179. Then I had to buy the converted, the adapters for the actual antenna cables, since there's 2 different connections on the router that I was buying. And these connections are not standard for cellular modems. I use cellular modems all day long for my job, and these connections are not the standard at all. So usually SMA connectors, I think these are T9s or T somethings. There's a T in there and a 9, I know that, but I'm not going to go through that. But there was an option, and the cost of that was going to be about $179, so it was $191 with tax and shipping and all the stuff that's in there for the router itself. Then the cables for the adapters that I would have needed was another $25-$30. So that puts us up to $225. So another $75. I got the actual correct router. Didn't have to print the little cover on the on my 3D printer, and I wouldn't have had the switch, which I didn't even think about when I was doing it initially. So it's really cost effective to go this route. I know there's a couple other vendors out there that make something that may work, that's designed for the camping industry, but I haven't found anything that's, it just makes sense to go with the Winegard. So right now, great. I hope you guys liked the video. I'm going to have more videos coming out here soon. This is my first real video that I've done. I hope you guys subscribe and like it. I'm going to try to document our entire camping experience going to Colorado this summer here in 3 weeks. So we'll be staying in St. Louis, we'll be staying in Kansas, and we'll be staying in Colorado Springs. So we're going to be at multiple campgrounds. Like all 3 of those locations are going to be KOAs. So be sure to like and subscribe and wait for those videos to come out. Naturally, it's going to take me some time. I'll try to do it while we're traveling. However, I probably won't get to it. It just really depends. But I'm going to have those videos and experiences that we did there, what we like about those KOAs, what we did at those, the sites that we're at. St. Louis is a lot to do, so we're going to be doing a couple things there. Kansas, I'm not sure. But Colorado Springs, we'll probably go to Pikes Peak. Check that out, get the kids, into the mountain experience, and then get out to the boondocks and, do some off-grid camping and see how the family likes it. I don't have a problem with it. It's going to be nice. This camper's designed for it. So I'm going to have another video coming out with the reviews of my camper and what model it is and all that good stuff. So be sure to, like I said, like and subscribe, follow us, and we'll hopefully have some more videos out for you guys. Thanks again. Thanks for watching, and come back. See ya.